Welcome back to CMS Connected. I'm Butch Stearn, alongside is Alan Pelz-Sharpe of Digital Clarity Group. Time now to look ahead to 2016. Your crystal ball, you've dusted it off. Is it an optimistic picture?
No. I'll do the best I can. I'll try and find some optimism in there.
All right, so let's look ahead to 2016. Okay. You did a great job recapping 2015. We had tons of mergers and acquisitions. We had buzzwords that are taking on more significant meaning, if not new meaning, big data, the Internet of Things. Yep. We had the Gartner Magic Quadrant and the Forrester Wave, which of course will be coming up again this year, and how the players move in that industry. Let's start with mergers and acquisitions for 2016. Some predictions. What types of mergers and acquisitions, or specific ones, do you see that might shake up the industry or shape this industry for 2016?
Oh, I think there's going to be a lot this year. I think private equity is going to come in and do some buying up because there's a lot of bargains there, do some consolidation. So certainly at the lower end, if I can call it that, in terms of price, there's going to be a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people out there looking for a buyer, and fortunately, there's quite a lot of buyers out there looking for something to buy. At the higher end, I think that's where it gets interesting. You know, does Documentum spin out of EMC/Dell? What's going to happen at HP? Right, so Interwoven and all those WCM and digital marketing assets didn't actually stay with the software group. It went off with the printer division. So sounds like maybe they're getting polished up to be spun out as well. And there's some good stuff there. It's interesting. Similarly, we mentioned before, I think Microsoft may well make a buy themselves, or maybe two. Oracle certainly isn't stopping spending money. It will never stop spending money. So I think there's just going to be a lot of activity. Which are the key ones? For the document management side, obviously it's Documentum, what's happening there. That's key. But I think, oddly enough, I will stick with the HP thing. It's the granddaddy of them, Interwoven. It was there right at the beginning. It's still there. A lot of people are still using it. I think that's going to be the bellwether. If that goes well, that's good for the industry.
Let's talk about a merger that has been talked about a little bit. The possibility of Sitecore and SharePoint. Could that happen? And if that did happen, what would that mean for the industry?
Oh, it certainly could happen. I mean, I think if Microsoft was going out and asking, myself or any other analyst, well, who should we buy? Sitecore would have to be on the short list and very high up it. I mean, it's an obvious fit. They've done well, they're Microsoft-centric, etc. So I think that's a given. I mean, the danger with a Microsoft is, and they've done this so many times in the past, they've gone down that road, clearly they're going to buy something, and then they suddenly say, oh yeah, we built one. And gosh, doesn't it look a lot like that one that was out there doing really well? I mean, they've got the resources to do that. We've seen them do it so many times before. I would think with the new management there, they're more likely to make a buy. Sitecore's not the only player in there. There's others, but I mean, it's got to be, they've got to be the favorite.
All right, as we look ahead for predictions for 2016, momentarily, I want to get to the Gartner Magic Quadrant and the Forrester Wave and some predictions from you on that. But let's talk about Adobe briefly, because despite the fact, in my opinion, that Sitecore, was leading the Gartner Magic Quadrant in 2015, Adobe is still sort of the player, right? They made more money. They offer a solution that works for the majority of people in the industry, right? What do you see for Adobe in 2016? More of the same?
More of the same, but I think more challenge as well. I mean, I think,
From competitors?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Adobe's had a good run, and they've done very, very well. There's no two ways about it. No, can't question that. But, you've got Salesforce, you have Oracle. They're not just going to stand idly by and watch this happen. And I think it's going to become a tougher competitive marketplace for Adobe at that higher end against players who are looking at what they're doing, saying, well, we can do that. And guess what? We can maybe even do more than you. So that's going to liven up.
So when it comes to the Gartner Magic Quadrant or the Forrester Wave, again, last year, 2015, we saw that Gartner revealed that Sitecore was at the top of it. What do you expect Gartner to reveal this year? Or what would blow your mind if they did?
What would blow my mind is if they actually consolidated some of those Magic Quadrants
and revealed how they actually come up with it.
That would be cool. But I mean, the fact is these things have got a life to them, right? I mean, so I don't know. What would really blow my mind would be if there were major changes on it. I think realistically, the industry just doesn't change at a high speed. So I think this year's is going to be much like last year's.
How about new players Would you expect any new players to make it into the Gartner Magic Quadrant or even get some attention from the Forrester
so.
Wave?
I mean, whether it's for pure WCM, CMS, whatever you want to call it, or whether it's broader digital marketing, certainly there are a lot of players out there who have things. Now, I don't know exactly what the inclusion criteria is, but I think you'd have to look at something like a HubSpot and say, well, a lot of people are using that for digital marketing / CMS because it's got all that stuff in there. Why aren't they on that? You know? So again, what exactly is the inclusion criteria? I don't know, but if I look at the market as a whole, there's a lot of people who have CMS functionality and are doing very well with it, but they might not call themselves a CMS player.
Alan Pelz-Sharpe of Digital Clarity Group is joining us here as we're looking ahead to 2016 in the CMS industry. Alan, let me talk about a trend that's been documented and tell me your thoughts about this. With the mobile media consumption numbers tipping the scales at 51% mobile compared to 42% desktop, will we see a continued trend of consumer apps being developed for mobile first? Isn't that trend going to go up?
Yeah, it probably will go up, but I think like any kind of trend, it has its moment of heat, and then suddenly there's a bit of a sobering period where you think, well, maybe we got overheated here. I mean, the reality is there are apps that work really well on mobile, yeah? And there are apps that don't work so well on mobile. If you really want some detail on something, guess what? Even my 16-year-old daughter flips open a laptop and starts typing, right? She wants detail. So there's a world for both of them. It's not one or the other. I think that's what people are finding out. Plus, technically, we've moved from a position where it was really hard to develop apps for mobile. It's really quite easy today.
Right.
So, yeah, will there be more? Of course there will, but the desktop, the laptop, the bigger screen is not going away. It has its role.
So you're saying for 2016, when it comes to the CMS industry specifically, the trend to keep the customer in mind here and to design apps that work there first will continue to go up. But you're sort of painting a picture that maybe you shouldn't be so focused that that is the end-all, be-all, right?
You can't be completely focused on one thing. I mean, if we look at digital marketing, we use that word digital, absolutely important. Print is still huge, right? It's really important in the world. It's enormous. You know, billboards still actually sell things. So, I mean, in the real world out there, the world outside of ours, you know, people have to make some decisions, and mobile isn't the whole story. There's more to it.
So again, when it comes specifically to the CMS industry, the industry was born with the desktop first mentality, and that's just because of the evolution of devices and the mobile part of it, right? What about companies that continue with that desktop first? Most industry analysts would say they're going to fall way behind if that's the case. You seem to be saying, no, that's not necessarily the case. There is a time where you should be thinking desktop
Well,
first.
I think they've got to take a balanced approach and look at what their customers are doing with their technology, okay? So if we take advertising, mobile advertising, it's really irritating. I don't know about you, but if I get another thing flash up on my phone, I'm throwing it out the window, right? So it's actually a lot easier to advertise on a desktop. It's very difficult to do that because of the screen size, the real estate you have there. There's challenges here, and so the industry that we're in, our CMS industry, has to respond to the needs of marketers. And it's all very well talking about digital marketers. Most of them today are marketers. What do the marketers want? And you've got to respond. And it's not just mobile applications.
All right, as we look ahead to 2016, it seems like for the last 10 years, we've been saying this in every industry, video. But when we come to 2016 in the content management industry, let's talk about, again, video and its effect for this year in the CMS industry specifically. It's table stakes still, isn't it? I mean, we got there last couple of years that it's table stakes, or is it? Where are we at with video if you're in the CMS industry? Don't you need it? Don't you need to start with a video-centric philosophy?
I don't know if you have to start with a video-centric philosophy, but you're right, it's becoming more of the mainstream. Actually, if you go outside the US, if you go outside of Europe, it's quite amazing how video-centric, you know, Southeast Asia is, for example. You go to South Korea, it's very, very, very video-centric. So that is a happening thing, for sure. But it brings on a lot of challenges as well, right? It's easy to type up, relatively easy, to type up a paragraph explaining a product. Do that on a video and keep somebody's concentration, you know? I mean, again, it's those challenges. It comes back to the mobile thing. I can sit here and read, I can skip. That's hard to do on video.
Well, I agree with your point, but again, you've done a great job here, both in 15 and 16, talking about reality. So let's talk about reality. Every platform in the world now has a video component to it. Facebook Live, video on Twitter, Periscope, Blab, Instagram, Vine, or YouTube. I mean, YouTube, of course, is the #2 search engine in the world. So the ability to use video in the CMS industry is there, and gone are the days where you have to hire a company and spend $20,000 on a video. You could pick up your phone and have a 21-year-old make you a video and post it instantly. So again, how is that changing the CMS industry? How will it change things business-wise in 2016 with more proliferation of both the platforms and solutions that can provide video and the need for customers to want to have video?
Well, two things in there, the need, right, and the business. You're right, anybody can now produce a video and post it, right? We could do that with my phone now, and seconds later it's on the interwebs, right? It's out there. It's probably a really crappy video. I mean, so again, there is still a need for quality, and a good marketer wants quality. Volume alone doesn't sell. Okay, and so people have to be very careful where they're investing here. Is the technology available for them to do it? Absolutely it is, right? But what are you actually going to do with it? It's the same as the big data thing, right? The technology's been available for a long time. We've got great analytics tools. But what questions do we actually want to ask that bring a return? So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be more video. Is it going to become the mainstream, or not, maybe I shouldn't say the mainstream, but is it going to become the dominant form of communication? Possibly. But people are still struggling with, how do I sell something with this?
Right. So the business end of it. So let me make another statement when it comes to video, because I'm pretty passionate about this, and tell me if you agree with this. If we're speaking to the vendors out there, you painted a picture in 2015 that a key word is consolidation. So again, that comes to video. Your platform, your solution may not be as efficient with video as it needs to be. So you need to make that leap in 2016, right? So you need to make it easy for your customers to do that. There are all kinds of ways for you to do that. But quality of the video is defined, well, in my opinion, well beyond just the production quality. Someone walking down the street in New York with an iPhone, while that quality of the video might not be the old school agency that spent a ton of money to put all these bells and whistles, it could be real time. It could, again, from a vendor standpoint, your customers have the need, the want, and the desire to reach consumers 360-degree, where they want, when they want. So what does video and its components, as an example, mean for the CMS industry in 2016?
Well, for the CMS industry, I mean, it's really hard. Obviously, you picked this up about me. It's all about the money. It's all about getting things done, right?
As it should be.
As it should be. I 100% agree. But I mean, the reality is e-commerce. That's where it's at for video, right? I mean, I've got to sell something. Just churning out marketing is not where it's at these days. E-commerce is going to be huge in 2016, even bigger 2017. We've got a lot of e-commerce vendors out there who are first time round, they're very dated, there's great opportunities for people. And again, tie that to a digital asset management system that can store and manage and stream really good technology, really good video, really good images, etc. Tie that, I believe, might disagree with you, with good production and decent lighting.
Yeah, I'm not, believe me, I was born in the video industry, so I'm not downplaying the people that want to do great video production. I'm just saying, just like, I'm going to your business sense. I'm saying in the CMS industry that the quality should be defined by KPIs in your business.
Yes.
What are the conversions? You know, the video you think and I are great. If nobody's watching it, if nobody's clicking on you to buy, what good is it? It was money not well spent. Conversely, it could be a piece of crap as far as we think, but if people, it's getting thousands of people to watch and they're driving you to the page and your call to action is to get conversions, but then that's different.
I think there's two things there. You said about the KPIs, 100%, right? If I get 10 people to watch my video and 5 of them buy, that's a damn good video, right? If I get
50% conversion.
Yeah, if I get 500,000 to watch it and all hit the "this stinks" button, it's not so great, okay? So again, no, is this happening? Absolutely. There's a lot of digital asset management vendors out there, very cheap. Some of them are going to get bought up. It's going to happen. But you still have to get back to what's the business case? How do I actually make some money out of this?
All right, let's wrap it up for predictions for 2016. Back to what we saw in 2015, Alan. You commented on omni-channel digital experience across the full customer journey and how strides were taken in 2015. And you mentioned e-commerce. What are some of the trends you see in 2016? Because that's not going away. That's only growing exponentially.
Well, finish where we started, consolidation. I mean, we've been building out bigger and better platforms. That's going on. That doesn't happen overnight, right? You cannot acquire 6 companies and suddenly go, wow, now I have a marketing cloud, as some people try to do, right? It's not as simple as that. It's really hard work, but you can do it. So again, I've mentioned the Oracles, the Salesforces, the Microsofts, the IBMs, the Adobes, right? These are big players with big pockets, and they are building out very sophisticated platforms to do the kind of work we've been talking about today, giving you that insight into the customer, providing it in whatever format, providing it through whatever channel, measuring it beautifully and perfectly. But that's hard. You can't fix that overnight. That's a 5-10 year cycle we're going into, but we're in it now. 2015 was a turning point. We're here. It's going to happen, but it takes a lot longer than people think.
So let's sum up your predictions for 2016, if I hear you correctly.
Okay.
I look back at 2015, and it was a huge year for mergers and acquisitions. Thus, heading into 2016, you expect even more than that,
absolutely.
and the key word is consolidation. So let's talk from a vendor standpoint, and let's talk from their customer standpoint. The customers, as you keep saying, and rightfully so, they don't necessarily want to build or buy a CMS solution. They want to solve business problems. So now go right to the vendors for 2016. All those trends, what does this mean for vendors? How do they keep up with customers' demands? How do they help their customers solve business problems? It's not necessarily building a more comprehensive platform or solution, is it?
No, in fact, in some cases, it will actually be stripping back to simple, really basic items in your platform and exposing those. So, I mean, the best advice I can give to anybody is look at that big mid-market. You've got too many small players trying to, get their foot in the door at GE, at Ford, right? Forget the Fortune 500. Look at that massive mid-market. Do something in there. Find a niche in there. It can be the lumber industry. It can be the paper cup industry. I don't know. Find a niche in there. Fix their problems, you're going to have customers who are going to be very happy for life.
And finally, again, you were born and raised in the technology industry. You've watched trends for many years. You get people to argue with you about some of your predictions. I bet if we look back, you were right on a lot of them and said, I told you so to a lot of people, and maybe wrong on a few too, right?
Maybe.
Look ahead to 2016. Yeah. This is a real broad question, but what technology trends are we going to see in 2016? We already talked about video and mobile platforms and all this and that. What trends are we going to see that are going to affect the CMS industry specifically the most? What technology trends are we going to see in 2016?
I think there's 2 sides to this one. So, I mean, in terms of actual technology, e-commerce, digital asset management, there's going to be a lot more happening around that. So that's one simple thing. I think the bigger thing is I think our CMS industry as a whole is becoming embraced by a bigger industry called digital marketing. And now we basically have CRM-centric, e-commerce-centric, data-centric approaches. They've got to find their place in it. But if I have to pick one big trend, it's those big guys, the Oracles, the IBMs, the Microsoft. They're gonna come and bite because it was too small for them before. It's lucrative now.
So keep an eye on what they're going to do.
Absolutely.
Do you have one bold prediction for 2016? Either a specific company or big year for Alan Pelz-Sharpe in 2016?
Well, I hope so. Big year for Digital Clarity Group, definitely. No, I don't know if there's a bold prediction. I think, as I said before, I think there's going to be a lot of M&A, and I think some of those are going to be eye-opening.
Alan, great information. Great hanging with you today. We're never going to get inside the sausage factory, so you can forget about Gartner, and they're not going to tell us how they come out with the Quadrant. No. That's the secret sauce for them,
It's magic.
Right? It's magic. Yeah. Alan Pelz-Sharpe of Digital Clarity Group. I'm Butch Stearns. This has been CMS Connected. Those are our predictions for 2016. We'll be joining you next time. To follow the conversations for CMS Connected, you can follow it on Twitter, #CMS Connected. Before we go, I'd like to thank Amy Martin for her vendor spotlight on Sitefinity, and also thank our sponsors, Falcon Software and Digital Clarity Group. So on behalf of Alan Pelz-Sharpe, Amy Martin, and others, I'm Butch Stearns. We'll see you next time on CMS Connected.
Your job is to cut through the noise. To succeed, you need to reach out to your target audiences in real time with messages that speak to them. You can't let technology get in the way of your brand. That's the spirit. First Spirit is a powerful solution that helps you effectively communicate and engage with your target audience. Get an awesome ROI. Success in the market means your message got through to the right people at the right time in the right way. And that's why you need First Spirit. Get started with digital marketing. Visit www.espirit.com now.